Hi and welcome back to my... Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Simon, and today I am reunited with the artist formerly known as my mother, Louise of Louise Savidge Muses.
Hello. I'm a bit giggly, I'm sorry. We haven't seen each other all year. It's the first time we've done anything like this.
Yeah.
Or even clapped eyes on each
other.
Well,
yeah, yesterday on the doorstep it was quite a reunion. All the neighbours heard the absolute joyous guffaws.
And I nearly fell off the doorstep.
So it has been quite a reunion, but we were reunited, partly because we wanted to be, obviously, but also because last night we saw Ferdy Lennon in conversation at West Kirby Bookshop, and then had dinner with him, and then he had the joy of having a picture in a Savidge sandwich. That's what described it.
If you haven't read Ferdy's book, Glorious Exploits, you're missing something. I think it's wonderful. And
it is a great book.
He was really good company, wasn't he?
And also we realised that he was about roughly 5th or 6th in both of our favourites of last year.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. Yeah. So yes, that was lovely. And what we thought we'd do is just have a bit of a catch up with all of you because, well, we haven't really caught up on booky stuff with each other because obviously it's Women's Prize season, which is very exciting. It's like Bookish Christmas. And Mum's currently reading the non-fiction long list.
I am.
And I'm now reading the fiction long list. And it's the second year we've done it separately.
I know, it does feel a bit like a divorce.
Oh. You've not had experience of that. I, however, have. Doesn't feel like that at all.
Sorry, I didn't mean to trivialise divorce. I was just being frivolous. But it does feel odd still that we're not reading the fiction long list together. But I am absolutely loving the experience of reading the non-fiction long list. I've said this over and over again. I think it's an incredibly important prize. And last year I was bowled over by the variety and the scope and the talent of the 16 women who were longlisted. And this year, I think it's been even better.
Yeah.
Well, it has been even better. I've yomped through, some I think I've got three left to read. Well, I've got 4 left to read, but I'm part way through one of those 4. And all 16 books have really interested me and entertained me and educated me. And I just think that I don't know whether it's my naivety, but I feel as though women are kind of exploding into non-fiction and doing really interesting things with it. There are some of the books that I've read that I think are really original. And also it's just, in this sort of day and age where there's a lot of doom and gloom in the news, some of these books are about quite dark subjects, and yet the sense of hope that these women seem to be able to generate, I've been bowled over by that. So yeah, I'm in answer to your question, I'm missing you reading with me, but I am loving the experience of reading the books.
And I should say we're going to have a chat about Women's Prizey stuff, then we'll have a chat about prompts, and then we'll have a chat about other bookish prizey stuff. So that's how this is going to go, even though we've planned it not one bit. But no, I think it's been really interesting watching you read them. As this goes live, either my first one will have gone live or it'll be about to go live because I've started vlogging, reading the long list for fiction. But the first one's like an epic because I did it over like a week and a half. So yeah, that's been an editing treat. Yeah.
Do we need to grab our popcorn?
You might do, yeah. I think, well, currently it's running at about 1 hour and 10, but I think I'm going to get down to about 50 minutes. So some people really love a long video.
I'm only
really love a long video.
I'm teasing.
So yeah, but I think it's been really nice watching you do the non-fiction. The plan is that I'm going to, once the shortlist comes out of non-fiction, I will read that post the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. And then I think you're planning on reading the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist.
I'm not just planning, I am going to read. I'm going to read
and
the
then,
shortlist. Yeah.
I didn't want to speak on your behalf, Celia.
No, I know.
I wouldn't dare.
No, thank you.
Dare. But then I think the idea is that we will do what we usually do, which is before the winners are announced in June, we will do our ranking order. So that is the plan, although we need to think about that logistically because again we don't see each other until literally the day before and then we've got a very busy day because we can tell you, although we can't tell you who it's with, that we will be doing a Women's Prize book club at Women's Prize Live on the 12th of June.
It's really exciting.
It's very exciting because we know who it is.
Yes.
And we're being dreadful teasers, but it is very, very, very exciting. So I'll link the Women's Prize live below. I don't think it'll be being streamed live. I've heard that they're going to record it and probably stream it later because it'll be during the day. Whereas the Women's Prize book club so far have been in the evening. Mum wasn't at Sarah Waters with me. She chose instead to hang out with elephants.
I did.
So,
and blue whales, as it turned out.
And blue whales. She was off here, there and everywhere. But we are being reunited when we'll be chatting to Paula Hawkins on Saturday the 26th of April, both at Story House in Chester in real life, but also online streamed in real life. I'm really excited for this one because we're talking to a judge, and I think that we're going to be able to get some really good hot tea and gossip from Paula. That's what, and Paula's always a good time, so I feel like she won't hold back.
Yeah, I get that feeling as well. I've only met her briefly, but I think she's going to be really good fun.
Yeah.
And of course, I haven't read The Blue Hour yet, but I have read Girl on the Train, and you know, that was such a sensational novel.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting to talk to her about both of those books.
So yeah, so those are just to let you know, with just a little bit of, what's the word there, PR?
No.
Shameless self-promotion. Shameless self-promotion, there we go.
Well, I thought we were promoting the Women's Prize as well. But
we are, but it is also us because we're doing it.
That's true.
So yeah, so what else was I going to say?
I don't know.
You're 11 books through, is that right? No, you've got 3 left. I can't do maths.
Yeah.
So you're...
I am on book number 4. No. I can't do the maths either now. Book number 11. I'm on book number 11. It's official.
Now you know where I get the maths thing from.
It's not my strong suit.
No, and I'm on the 8th book of the Women's Prize for Fiction longlist. What are your thoughts on the longlist, not having read any of them? Well, you have read one.
The fiction longlist?
Yeah.
I haven't yet.
It's just there.
No, I know. I haven't I mean, obviously, I watched the announcement and all that. But because I've got my head in the non-fiction, I haven't really allowed myself to take...
Fiction longlist, dead to her.
No, it's not. It's just that I daren't... If I start looking at it...
It's like Magpie.
I will want to start reading it.
Right.
That's the trouble. I know I really want to read All Fours by Miranda July. I was glad that was on there because that seems to be such a divider of bookaholics. It seems like some Marmite book, you either love it or hate it. The Persians really tantalises me.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Persians.
Sorry, I'm just glancing across at Simon's heap.
They're on. I put them on the book ladder. No, what do I call it? A ladder for your bookshelves. You know what I mean? A book step thing of half of the ones that I've read and then the ones that I haven't read. But they are all glued down so that they can't end up in Louise's bag.
I was glad the Safekeep was on there as well because I loved that book.
Yeah.
It's the only one that I've read.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, you can, if you haven't seen the first of my vlogs, because it hasn't gone live yet, because I don't know when this is going live, because I haven't quite worked that out yet, then it will be coming, but then they're going to be every week anyway. I was hoping to try and get them all done by Sunday the 23rd of March, because I might be going away then, day before my birthday. My birthday's coming up, just to say. But I don't know if I'm going to manage that now, so I need to think. But anyway, blah, 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 blah. The thing that we also wanted to talk to you about was prompts.
Oh, you rolled your R.
Prompts. As we are almost a quarter of the way through the year, so we thought it would be...
No, it doesn't feel like it. I don't like that thought.
Well, yeah, you got freaked out when I told you that it was 40 years in September since we moved to Newcastle.
Yeah, all right.
So anyway, so we thought we'd have a chat with you about prompts as it is almost quarter of the way through. So I've read 2 out of 3, but I have the one that I'm planning on reading next. You've got...
I'm in the same position.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. And then we'll also mention what the prompts are coming up in the next quarter and some suggestions that people have. Mum's going to do that because she's got an idea around it and all sorts. So...
I had an idea. Quick, what date is it? Let's write it down.
It's currently the 14th of March. Okay. Friday the 14th of March.
I had an idea on Friday.
She's had an idea. Now, we read the same book.
We did.
The first prompt.
I know,
and we
it's like
didn't
Snap.
communicate about this.
Look.
Which is Dusk by Robbie Arnott, because the prompt was to read a book with twins as protagonists. I went for main protagonists. I also read this accidentally. I didn't realise they were twins.
Oh.
I'd forgotten that on the blurb.
Right.
This was my first read of the year.
Yes.
And I picked it because I'm very superstitious about that.
Didn't you?
Yeah. So, It's coming out. There'll be some people who'll be very vexed that we're holding these up. I think Sandy and Cindy probably will be, because they keep saying I'm teasing them because it's not out in the UK or America until August.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
So, but it's brilliant, and get pre-ordering it, because pre-orders really, really matter. I'm saying it's brilliant. I know you loved it too.
Well, yeah. I mean, I read this and thought this. I can't remember if it was the first book. No, it wasn't the first book I read, but it was very close to the beginning of the year, and I thought it can't. I was already thinking of my best books of the year video for the end of 2025, because I thought this is an absolutely stunning novel. I mean, I've read all his books bar one, and every single one I've enjoyed, but I just think he gets better and better and better. I couldn't put it down. It's beautiful, and it's really. Again, it's really original. He does something towards the end, which I think is very unusual. And
I think it's well, hang on, we should say what it's about a little bit if anyone doesn't know.
I'm very bad at
it's called Dusk, and it's about twin siblings who I thought were going to be like 10 or something, but they're not. They're in their 30s, and you find out that they're quite infamous to their parents, but I won't spoil that for why. And they're living below the breadline basically, and they hear of a bounty on a puma called Dusk, who's killing shepherds in this sort of otherworldly version of like 1800s Tasmania. It's really, it's kind of a book that's almost in its own time and out of time with everything else. But then, so they start hunting puma, but the book's also about outsiders. It's about hunting. It's about who owns what, who owns land.
Oh, and the relationship between the twins as well. I thought that was so brilliant written, and the characterization. All his characters are so kind of gritty but very deeply human.
Yeah.
And I
think this it made me cry twice, this book.
Yeah.
I cried about there. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything else.
Yeah, no, I know exactly why.
And then I cried at the end because I just didn't want the book to be over.
No.
I think this also has, no spoilers, one of the best endings of a book I've ever read.
Yeah. And I can't believe a writer, I don't think I've seen this very often, and I need to think about it a bit harder.
Oh, she's going to be thinking again.
Twice in one day. Oh Lordy.
Lord.
He introduces a character towards the end of the novel, when you're already really invested in the three characters that are kind of central. This fourth character's introduced, and I don't know how he manages to do that and make this character become equally important.
Yeah, very skilled.
That's mind blowing, personally. Anyway,
I'm hoping this book's going to be his breakout book here in America, because like in Australia they love him, and I can see why. So that was our prompt pick for January, or prompt number 1, which was to read books with twins as protagonists. What was prompt number 2? I should let you go first, actually. That was quite rude of me.
Well, I'm used to it.
Ladies first, sorry.
And Age Before Beauty. So the next prompt was to read a book with water.
I'm your son, so I am technically younger, like end of.
No, I know I'm older.
So age.
I was saying you're beautiful.
Before. Oh, no, you're older. Moving on to from.
I'm confused.
Don't, because you'll start thinking again.
It's because I've had 2 ideas. It's broken me.
Oh no, we're done for. Sorry. Prompt number 2 / February's prompt was?
It was to read a book which had a body of water in the title.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. So I read Alex Nathan's Sea Change, which I'd had on my shelf for ages. And that is the thing that I love about prompts. If, like me, you are a book hoarder and you're very lucky to have lots of books, it sort of forces me to read things that I, for some reason, haven't pulled off my shelf. And I read The Warlow Experiment by Alex Nathan.
One of my favourite books, that book.
Yeah, I can see. I loved it too. And so I don't know why I hadn't rushed to read another one by her, but I hadn't. Anyway, I really enjoyed this. I think what I like about her is she writes historical fiction, but it doesn't feel like it.
That's interesting.
I think she researches really widely, but you're not aware of the research as you're reading the novel. And this is set in the Napoleonic era in the UK, and it starts with one of the best scenes. Have you read this?
Yeah.
one of my favourite scenes, opening scenes of a book, and it's a woman going up in an air balloon with a French balloonist and her sort of painter, her artist friend, and she's going up in this balloon to prove that women can enjoy things like this too, and it all goes very, very wrong. And yes, I mean, it's really difficult to talk about this book without giving loads of spoilers, so I'm probably going to leave it there.
I'm really pleased you love this, because I think it's that thing about sometimes having a distance, because I read this before it came out, because I loved the Warlow Experiment so much, and I was slightly disappointed by this one. Yeah. But then hearing you talk about it, I was like, oh, maybe I did, like, it was that thing where I think I'd overhyped it in my head. Yeah. Whereas if I'd maybe had a bit more space from it, because sometimes I think there's that thing where you get a book by an author you're really excited for. If you read it straight away, you're overhyping it. But sometimes if you leave it a bit.
I don't think it's as gripping. I don't think it's as sort of, I mean, the opening's brilliant. I don't think it's as consistently gripping as the Warlow Experiment. But I loved it. It takes place mainly in 2 different locations, and I really liked that. And there's quite a cast of characters in here. It would make a really good film, I think, because you've got what's happening over here and then what's happening over there. And, I think it, and as I say, some really eccentric characters. And I really enjoyed that. And also there's quite a lot in here about sort of radical London as well. And I love it when writers bring to our attention that in the sort of Georgian period, before the Victorians came along, there was a much more liberal attitude. You've got men and women living together without being married. That there are quite a few characters in this book who fit that bill, and yet we're kind of sort of led to believe that wasn't a thing. So I like the way she looks at society, I suppose. Yeah. What did you read?
The one that I read was one that I'd also had on my shelves for ages. Now I'm trying to do that a lot more as to head to the books. But I ended up starting several different books, because with that prompt there were so many possibilities. Yes. And then I started reading one called Dayspring that I wanted to read for ages, but then I was like, oh, that's all one word and spring should be a separate word, and started to get a bit picky. But the one that I ended up reading is Long Bright River by Liz Moore. I bought this in New York back in 2020 and haven't read it since, but I saw firstly that my friend Julie is doing the PR for it in America, because it's been reissued as it's about to be a big TV series.
Oh, right.
But also I'd seen the trailer for the TV series, and I was like, oh, I'd like to read it before I watch it. And this is all about the opioid crisis. It's set in Philadelphia, and we meet she's not a policewoman, she's a patroller, police patrol, where they see cars and they drive around. And we soon learn that she's ended up in that, well, I can't give any spoilers because it's a thriller. And what I love about this is I'm going to say this and I can't believe I'm going to say it, but it's true. This is almost a perfect thriller. One of those ones where you get the backstory slowly but surely of who this character is and why she's in the job that she's in, and why she's kind of trying to find out what's going on with all of the drug issues, because bodies of women are starting to turn up, and at first they think it's that people have overdosed, and then they start to realise actually this looks like it could be a killer or a serial killer. And why she has this specific, or why she's so invested, is because her sister is an addict, and she sometimes sees her on the streets, but she hasn't seen her for ages. So every time a body's found, she's like, oh my god, is that my sister?
I want to read this afternoon.
So good, honestly. I just was completely and utterly hooked by it.
I just say, yes. I think one of the reasons you might have had it on your shelf for ages is because it's tiny font.
No, I think that's all right font.
Oh, do you? That to me looks a bit tiny. Anyway.
No, it's because it was one of those ones that got a lot of hype. I bought it in America because I hated the UK cover. The paperback in the UK is now this cover, which is a wise move. Also got it in the Strand, which is one of my favourite bookstores in the whole of the world. But then when I came back, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm too nervous because everyone's saying how amazing. There's a theme coming up in what I'm saying today. But I got a bit nervous about it, but I don't know why. But Liz Moore's an author I'd meant to read for ages because Mercedes really loves her. But also The God in the Woods was really big last year, which is her new literary thriller. So I'm very excited that I've got that ahead. But this I thought was absolutely brilliant. And part of me was therefore furious I hadn't read it sooner, but also like really thankful that it arrived at the right time. So yeah, that was my pick for a book with a body of water in the title. I decided not to go with a book with water. Water felt like a cheat for me for some reason. I don't know why, because there's no rules. But for me, I was like, no, I have to be very specific.
Well, we're going to talk about the rules in a minute, I hope. So
you go first again.
So this month's prompt, so where are we now, March?
Yeah.
I've
got a story.
And I've got to make sure I get this right. Is to read a book with a kitchen utensil on the cover.
Yes, or in the title.
Or in the title. So I am going to read Kitchen by Yoshimoto because I bought this in the autumn actually when we went to Newcastle. And I went to Whitley Bay with my husband and we went to the Bound, which I thought was a lovely bookshop. And for some reason, this had passed me by, and yet ever since I bought it, I've seen it everywhere, and people have been saying how wonderful it is. And I think the reason I picked it up was because I think this is about relationships between mothers and their children. I think there are two stories that are kind of about maternal.
But it has got some corking utensils on the cover,
and it has got lots and lots of different utensils,
including a chopstick.
So I'm really looking forward to engaging with this. Once I've finished all my non-fiction, I'm hoping by next weekend I shall be chomping my way through this. Have you read it? No,
so the reason that I was sort of smiling is because, as you will see in one of the future, I think it's the second of the Women's Prize, like it's really helpful when you're editing one and filming another, reading blogs, is I was in London last week, or this week, because I feel like today is Sunday for some reason, it's Friday. I was in London this week and I thought I was going to finish one of my Women's Prize longlist books on the train and wasn't going to have anything else to, so I went into foils. What did I pick up? Kitchen.
Oh wow.
But I didn't finish that book on the train, and I have another book that I'm going to read instead because, weirdly, my choice is going to be non-fiction. So I am going to... Well, no, I just thought it was weird in terms of... Well, not weird. What do I mean? Spooky, odd, mirroring, because you're going from non-fiction to fiction.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read The Position of Spoons by Deborah Levy, which both has spoons in the title and wooden spoons on the cover.
Well, that's just above and beyond.
I should say The Position of Spoons and Other Intimacies. And I saw a really great review of this on Instagram this very morning where someone was saying it's like you're sat having a chat with her and then while she leaves the table, you go and sneakily have a look through her diary. And that, I was like, that's such an interesting... Because I find Deborah Levy fascinating.
Yeah,
I've had the pleasure of interviewing her a couple of times. And she's like a powerhouse, slightly scary, but lovely. And yes, I'm just really excited for this one. And this is also one that I bought in Fours a while back because I wanted to get the signed edition because I am a big fan of her. She can be a bit of a complicated character, but I am a big fan of her. So that is my March one. April, what is the prompt, Louise?
So April, I'm just going to put my binoculars on.
This is
my goggles.
Louise's
you used to call them binoculars when you were little.
Did I? Binoculars?
Yeah, binoculars, not glasses.
Okay.
You used to call binoculars. Yes.
I
think you thought they were a dinosaur or something.
Whenever I was cutting with scissors, I used to sit there.
Yes, you did. Actually, lots of children do that. I've realised since. Yeah.
So I'm not special.
Not so. But you did do it in a very exaggerated way.
Me? Imagine.
So I just wanted to mention, because I know Simon and I have both referenced this in passing, but the lovely Miss Vix Reads has put all the prompts on Storygraph. And I find this really useful. Just occasionally I'm like, I have no idea what to read for this prompt. There's nothing on my shelf. What do I do? And so I'm looking at April's prompts on here. And there is a whole wealth of prompt suggestions, which lovely people out there in the ether, well, in the world, have added their books that they're going to read for this April prompt. So I really recommend this. I mean, Storygraph is free, isn't it? It's an app on your phone.
It's a brilliantly independent company.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think lots of people know that Goodreads is owned by Amazon.
Yeah.
So it's an independent that you can head to and support that business. But
so we really do love it, and we're very grateful to Miss Vix.
You can also pay to support it, and you get extra benefits. So I do that every year. I think it's like 40 quid a year or something. It can be a beta something or other.
I'll do that. Remind me to do it later.
I will.
So April's prompt, which she's put a lovely little egg by, which I really like as well, is a book with a sound in the title. So if I was sort of thinking, oh crumbs, I really don't know.
I've instantly gone like that.
Or if if I'm relying on my library or whatever to get my books. So the first one that comes up is the bell jar. Right. Great idea. And then somebody's accidentally put the twin in here, I think because that was a prompt earlier in the year. So we've got things like the sound of things falling, The Music Shop by Rachel Joyce, The Slow Worms Song by Andrew Miller. And I just think it's lovely thinking about what people consider fits with the prompt. Yeah. So we've got things like All Quiet on the Western Front. Now, technically, quiet is the absence of sound.
But it's still.
But I really like that. I like, there aren't our rules
also,
around.
when it's really quiet, isn't it funny how we all go, oh, isn't it quiet?
Yeah.
So you're really aware of the sound of nothing.
Yeah. And when people sort of almost subvert the prompt, I think that's really clever. So there aren't any. Somebody here has put the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, because
I think that's really lovely. I wouldn't have thought to add it. And Call Me by Your Name, and it goes on and on. There are nearly 200 books here. I think in terms of summing up. Oh, I don't think I can enlarge this. Maybe I can. Yes, I can. I think in terms of summing up the sound in visual form, I think this. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's just the picture. If I had that on my shelves, I think I'd be reading that for this prompt. So it was just really to reassure, because sometimes people almost seem worried.
Yeah.
When they're commenting or asking questions about the prompt. So is this okay to read this for the prompt? And as far as I'm concerned, the prompts are just stimuli, to sort of get you looking at your shelves differently, or your library differently, or your bookshop differently.
And I'll get people saying, oh, what if I want to read one that's got twins later in the year? Or what if I want... And that's absolutely fine. Just do it whenever you feel... It's not... I've been trying to do it monthly, but then also there's 2 bonuses, so you can throw those in whenever you like. Bonus prompts, I should say. I think have fun with it is the idea. It's not like me and Mum going to be marking at the end of the year, when did you read that and what was that title, and does it equate to the same? Like if you had a book with water in the title last month, just because I chose not to have a book with water in the title doesn't mean that's right or wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
It's me. I've noticed that it's me that adds little rules onto myself, because I got a bit cross with myself about buying kitchen, because I'd actually stated that this year I was going to only read books on my shelves that I already had, but I was just worried that I was not going to have anything to read on a train. I thought, I do need to get a prompt book in. And it was from an indie bookshop, so I was fine. Because some people I know are borrowing them specifically from their libraries each month. Some people are using their independent bookshop and going in and trying to find a book. But also there are some where we can't help you. So one of them is like your favourite author's favourite author. So that would just be going and finding a book that's either got a quote on by one of your favourite authors, or just doing a bit of research and finding out who your favourite authors' favourite authors might be. There's one's
to do with a favourite animal as well, isn't it? And mine's a sloth. So I was panicking when that came out.
But I sent you a picture, didn't I?
You sent me one, and loads of people have sort of sent in comments, there's this book or that book. So I love that as well. I like the community feel about it, that we're all sort of trying to help each other out in terms of finding books. So,
I still haven't decided what my favourite animal is. I'm really torn between a bear or a tiger.
Well,
or a panther.
I associate you with bears.
Well, that probably is part of it.
Yeah, I think you've got to go bear.
Yeah, but it isn't. But then foxes, I love cats. I've got endless amounts of them.
I think
it's tricky.
I've got an answer for you then. I think you have to read a book
with a zoo on the cover.
Menagerie was what I was going to say. You've read Jamrach's
Menagerie, that had a really great line on the cover. Or was it a tiger? Anyway, so that's just a little prompt update. What are the prompts after April, just so that we can give people the next quarter?
I've shut it down now.
Sorry, and I can't because it's I'm filming on my phone again.
Bear with. At the push of a button. May is a book by your favourite author's favourite author.
Aha.
June, I really like this one. June, and I think this could be quite tricky, I don't know. June is a book...
How many times can Louise say June?
Many, many times.
June is
only one syllable. I've got enough breath left to say it for a while. June is a book set in a hotel or motel, and there's already 107 books added on there, having said it's difficult. It's clearly not. July, a book with dual timelines. August, a book which...
We're going to the end of the year.
Oh, I thought that's what you wanted me to
do.
Let's
but carry on.
Shall I stop now?
No, go on. Don't leave them hanging on what August might or not
August, in the summer months, with a big sunflower in August, we can read a book which fictionalises the life of a famous historical figure. I love that idea. September, a book with the light source on the cover. Well, we'll need it because it'll be getting darker in this side of the world anyway. We've got a pumpkin for October, but not in the prompt.
Don't confuse people, Louise, with all these emojis.
Sorry. The book that has sat on your shelf the longest, that is going to do me a great service.
Or I might have to have a little cull before then.
November, a book centred around a secret. And December, a book with your favourite animal. So I've got till then to choose my sloth book.
And then you've also got the 2 bonuses, which are...
Yeah, so the wild card, the first one is a book that's the start of a series. And the second one is a book with a 1-word title.
So there you go. And you can find those, like Mum said, on Storygraph. Now, before we go, because we're after an art gallery, and also for some cake, I thought we would just talk about one other prize that we're considering reading the shortlist of together.
I think we will.
It is quite a big prize season at the moment because I'm quite interested in doing the climate fiction shortlist when that comes out. But the one that we're thinking about doing is, I've covered the books up now. This is piss poor preparation, isn't it? Possibly, this isn't the shortlist, by the way. It's just the only ones of the books that I have from the long list. But we are thinking about doing the International Booker shortlist and maybe doing the videos that we've done before with the Booker, where it's like those, what do we call them? Parallel reads. Parallel reads. Right. So let us know in the comments if you'd be really interested, because I have to say the long list for the International Booker this year has been one of the most exciting list of books I've seen in quite a long time. And there have been a few jokes about it being, I was telling you this earlier, a list of 12 novellas and Solenoid, because Solenoid is massive. But also I'm really keen because Anton Her's one of the judges, and I love Anton, and I do believe possibly in a parallel universe he might be Mum's son-in-law. So just for now, I'll know if Anton's watched that because there will be a comment below from that. But anyway, yeah, because I really, really love Anton, and I want to get into reading a lot more translated fiction. And there was a really interesting fact I saw on one of the reels from the Booker recently, which was that at the moment, the age group most engaged in translated fiction is under 35s.
Oh, that's
like
really
it's
interesting.
Booming there. So that I think is fascinating. Yeah. But also, just the sound of some of these, like this is an own voice novel about disability and sex. Like really interesting. Wow. This is about a mother and son who are both absolutely abhorrent and they're on holiday together. And then this one, I ignored that. And this one really intrigues me. I asked for this, and Granta literally just sent me right this morning. But this is Under the Eye of the Big Bird. And it's like this future world where children are being made in factories. Like just that as a premise, instantly, I'm like, that's like, so interesting.
What's the famous 1950s?
I don't know.
Aldous Huxley's book, Brave New World.
I've not read that.
It's not quite the same concept, but
I am super duper excited for these books. So yeah, so I think we are probably going to do it, but if you'd like us to do it, let us know in the comments down below, because that gets announced on April 8th. And then you've got until the 20th of May, but I think that's time enough.
Yeah, I do.
Especially it's 6 books, and also predominantly they're quite
I suppose
short.
it depends whether Solenoid's shortlisted.
Yes, because that's, I think, about 700 or so pages, but there we go.
But then I love a long book. I'm always bashing on about how there should be more.
You are, so there we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it from us. Hope you enjoyed that catch-up. It was going to be a cuppa and a catch-up, but I forgot to make us both a cup of tea. Oh, we had to both clean our teeth as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And cup of tea after you clean your teeth. So anyway, thanks Mum for joining me.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I will carry on watching your... what I'm loving as well is that even though I'm obviously watching your videos and getting ideas of what you think, it's not making me feel like I know the books too much.
Good. Oh, that's
good. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's nice to know.
And hopefully I've done that with the Women's Prize for Fiction long list books when you see those vlogs. Anyway, don't forget, if you'd like to see us at Women's Prize Live and obviously support the Women's Prize, then that is linked down below, along with our event with Paula Hawkins. I'll link Mum's channel down below. I think that's it.
I think that's it too.
Yeah. Carry on the conversation in the comments down below. My Instagram, my Blue Sky, all those things are down there too. And we will see you in videos separately very, very soon. However, I'm going to do your thing. Bye.